Hi guys, welcome to my channel. How are y'all doing today? So here today on Abby the Witch, I am actually going to be doing a VR to Eries Witchcraft. She started a tag called Tarot and Wonderland. So if you would like to do a VR to this, just make sure you give credit to her, not me. And I will put this tag below in the description. So I just thought this was a really fun tag. Tarot isn't like a huge, major, very important part of my practice. I still do it and love it, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's not like the main part of my divination. But I still thought this tag was super fun and I wanted to do it. Sorry if this lighting is really bad, guys. I'm still trying to figure out like the best setup in this room for me. My witchy space is in like this really small room with like two tiny little windows. So I'm like half dark, half light right now. My window's over here, so. Okay, so let's jump into this tag. I got my questions right here. Question number 1, what deck, and again, this is Alice in Wonderland themed, okay? What deck sent you down a tarot rabbit hole? Okay, this was the first tarot deck, I call it tarot, it's a hybrid, but this is the first tarot deck that I had ever gotten, and it definitely sent me down the tarot rabbit hole. It is the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck by Karen Kranz, or I'm sorry, I always call her Karen. She's not Karen. By Kim Kranz. And she has multiple decks. I think she has 3. She might even have more that she's created. I have another one of hers. I need to get the other one. But anyway, this is the first deck I've ever gotten and the first Kim Kranz deck I've ever gotten. And I'm just still obsessed with this deck. I became so obsessed with this deck when I got it. This is what really inspired me to dig into tarot and to start doing tarot. Like I said, tarot is not a huge part of my spiritual practice. It's still part of it, but in the beginning it was like that's what started my witchy journey was tarot. So she's pretty used and abused, you can see. And if you know me, you know I'm obsessed with animals. I still work with animal spirits. That's a huge part of my practice. I used to call myself an animal witch in the very beginning. Again, still part of my practice. Anyway, just beautiful animal spirits. You've probably seen this deck floating around online. Maybe you haven't, but it's pretty popular. Kim Kranz decks are pretty popular, especially the animal spirit deck. I call it a hybrid. A lot of people would argue with me and call it an oracle. It's organized like tarot. It's organized by the elements. It has the, instead of like the major arcana, it's like the spirit animals. So it's not traditional tarot. So you could call it oracle in that sense, but it's definitely not an oracle deck. So I call it a hybrid. Okay, question 2. What deck makes you smile like the Cheshire Cat? I'm gonna have to say a couple of them. Some of my answers might be more than one. I think some of hers were more than one too, and a couple of the other people who did this tag, their answers were more than one. The first one I want to say is and I still don't have a pouch for this, I need to get one, but the Ancestral deck by Julie Kusha-Watts. And just a beautiful deck based on ancestry. Really beautiful deck. I say this one makes me smile because, well, just because it's a beautiful deck and I love it. And I know Julie from YouTube, and I love her. And also because the way I found it, it just makes me smile. I was looking at tarot decks at one of my local metaphysical shops, and I just like stumbled upon her deck. I was like, oh, this deck looks cool. And then I noticed it was made by her, and I was just like, oh my God. So it's just, you know, really cool how I found it. So that's that one. And then my other one that makes me smile like Cheshire Cat is the one I got most recently, which is the Wolf Life Path deck. I mean, these cards, they just make me smile every time I use them. My daughter's name is Wolfie. Wolf is one of my spirit animals. I feel like wolf runs in my blood. Yeah, it makes me smile every time I use it because it just means so much to me. Question number 3. What is your favorite Tweedledee and Tweedledum decks? This is a tarot with a matching oracle. Okay, this one, I could have a couple of different combinations as well. Honestly, I love using the Kim Kranz decks together. So this one is, again, the Animal Spirit, the Wild Unknown. This one is the Wild Unknown Archetype. So this one is an oracle deck. And I love to use both of her decks together. I think they go together so well. Love doing that. But I also love to use the Animal Spirit deck with my other Animal Spirit deck. So if I'm like feeling really called to animal spirits, which I am pretty often, I will double down and use these two together. And they just work flawlessly together as well. Again, I view this as a tarot deck, and this one is definitely an oracle deck. Accept the situation as it is rather than fighting to change it. So just little messages like that go really well with my other animal spirit deck. Question number 4. Which is your Red Queen deck? This deck became your nemesis after buying it. So watching her video, her Red Queen deck was the deck that really kind of disappointed her. Like, she was really excited to use it and to have it. But then once she really got to know it, she realized it was just like, I actually have a couple for this one too. My first one is Forest of Enchantment Tarot. Isn't that what you say to a bull when you're bullfighting? This one really bummed me out. So I actually got this one in a giveaway, not a giveaway bag, but like a, you know how some companies will do like, oh, buy this box for $50 and you get like a surprise number of items in it from our company. It's like a Christmas special or a Black Friday special. A lot of companies will do this. Anyway, it was part of one of those like mystery boxes. And at first I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, this deck is beautiful. And it is beautiful. The artwork is gorgeous. It is amazing quality. There's even like a little note section in the back you can write in the guidebook. I mean, it looks like a novel. Like, the cards are beautiful. I won't get those out right now, but it's beautiful. However, it just did not resonate with me. It just, for some reason, something about it just did not resonate with me. Again, I love working with animal spirits and I love the forest. Don't get me wrong. I'm not huge on working with like the fae or elves or gnomes or anything. Like, they don't really call to me. Some of those like really mythical like creatures call to other people, and that's great. I love that for you. It just doesn't resonate with me. So there's a lot of that in here. I think it's part of that, and also the way it's organized. You know how some decks, like, they try to do their own way of organizing it? Like, there's a certain way you have to read it. It's numbered a particular way. It's trying to be organized kind of like the archetypes and traditional tarot, but they like remixed it and like did their own spin on it, which is fine. But I find it confusing, and I don't have the time. I don't have the time to learn a whole other method of reading tarot just for one deck. I I can't do that. It's too much for me. Too much. So no, not that one. The other one for this one is the Gypsy Witch. I was so excited to start using this deck. Again, very particular way you have to use this deck. Very, very particular way that it's organized, numerical. Numerology doesn't really call to me very much either, and this one is really based on numerology, and you have to like know what each number of the cards mean. They're all like the traditional like playing cards like this. It's just, yeah. And they each have like a message on them, and there's like a specific spread you have to, if you want to use these the traditional way, that is. And to me, it's like, I'm gonna use it the traditional way. If I'm going to get a particular deck like this that's not very versatile, it's not meant to be versatile, like you are supposed to use this in a certain spread, to me it's like I'm not going to use it in any other way. And again, I don't have the time and the energy to learn how to read these cards in a particular way. If it's not versatile, if I can't put my own spin on it and like just use it how I feel called to using it, I just don't want to use it. I just don't. It was a bummer, but yeah, if you know anything about the Gypsy Witch deck, you know that it's super complicated. Not for me, not for me. Okay, this is your Drink Me deck. So the smallest deck that you own, the smallest cards that you own. This is such a fun tag. If I can get them open. I have a tiny traditional, the Ryder Tarot. I just have like a very small, very teeny tiny little deck. And I have these for when I travel, if I like, not that I travel very often, but the few times that I have traveled and gone on vacation or whatever, and I want to bring a travel altar with me, I will bring these. They're in a tiny little pouch. They're awesome for bringing with you, or even if like you're not traveling and you're just like going to a friend's house and they want you to give them a reading and you don't feel like lugging a giant deck with you or whatever. These are super handy. Just throw them in your bag and you're good. I love these. This is my teeniest deck. The next one is Keep Your Head Out of the Gutter. It says your Eat Me deck. So your biggest cards, right? So in Alice in Wonderland, she drank the potion, she became tiny, she ate the little cookie biscuit thing or whatever that was and became giant, right? So my biggest deck. So I have two that I couldn't decide. I thought one of them was bigger, but they're actually about the same size. So again, my Ancestral deck, very big, like the size of my face. And also my Wolf Life Path, again, like the size of my face. So these are huge cards, about the same size. I don't mind. I like them. I don't really mind big, but I do sometimes get frustrated with shape. Some cards are different shapes and they're hard to shuffle, but even then I don't really mind that much. Okay, so number 7, you're late. You're late for a very important date. What deck gave you FOMO, anxiety, before you got your hands on it? So fear of missing out. I would definitely say I was like lusting after this deck for a long time, and I was like stressing not having it, stressing. You know, I was just anxious. I was anxious to get my hands on it, and that is the Murder of Crows deck. Still really like this deck. Didn't need it as badly as I thought I did, but still a very cool dark deck. I use this a lot for shadow work. You don't have to use a dark deck for shadow work, but you know, it hits the mood, you know what I'm saying? So really dark images, crow themed, up my alley. So yeah, this definitely, I was like, when I saw this, I was like, I have to have that deck. And it came with a nice little pouch. Isn't that nice? Number 8, what is your White Queen deck? Colorful and lighthearted. I would definitely have to say my Tattoo Tarot. I love this deck. I love this deck. I haven't used it in a while. I actually should use it. but let me show you guys. I mean, you can just see from the front that it's the colors. So this is based on like traditional tattooing and like the images you see in traditional tattooing. I'm very tattooed with a lot of traditional style tattoos, American traditional. So these cards, let me try to find a good one that's really colorful. And the Three of Swords, lots of color, just animated. Two of Wands. Oh, this one's great. Oh, this one's great. The Queen of Pentacles. Just really bright and cheery and lovely, and just reminds me of Beltane, honestly. Just that time of year, just sunshine and flowers. And when I'm in that kind of mood, this is definitely the deck that I like to reach for. And plus, tattoos just make me feel more like myself. The more I get tattooed, the more I feel more comfortable in my body. So it just makes me feel good to see these images. It makes me feel cozy, cozy. Show me a deck with artwork as mad as a Hatter. So I don't have too many super quirky decks like that, but oops. I would say the deck with the most Mad Hatter type art is definitely my Archetype Oracle from Kim Kranz. So you can see the very first one, the Self. There's some really cool images. The Bardo. Some of these words, I'm not like, I'm still learning a lot about this deck. Apocalypsis. The Vision. So some really cool artwork, kind of trippy, if I'm being honest. Anima Mundi, rather. So some really cool images that trip me the fuck out for sure. Okay, number 10. What deck would you take to a tea party? I think if I was going to a tea party, so if I was going to a tea party, and I have done this before, brought this deck with me to like a gathering, not necessarily a tea party, but a gathering of people where I knew someone was going to be like, will you give me a reading? And this was before I really like knew how to set boundaries and say, no, I'm not really feeling it, you know? So preemptively, I would just bring this deck with me knowing that that might happen. And that is just the traditional tarot. Just the traditional Waite, Ryder, whatever it's called, traditional tarot deck. This is the one that I feel the most comfortable with using for people. This is definitely the one that I feel the most comfortable and familiar with, in the sense that this is the deck that I really, yes, my animal spirit deck sent me down the rabbit hole, but this is really the deck that I really learned the main foundational archetypes of tarot, right? So this is the one that I feel pretty comfortable and cozy and familiar with using. So if someone's gonna put me on the spot and ask me to do a reading for them at like a party or whatever, or gathering, not that I ever really go to those, but the few times I have, but the few occasions that I do, if I were to be put on the spot, can you do a reading for me? This is the one I would reach for. But current Abby would just say, no, thank you, because I can't, who can do tarot readings on the spot? I'm sorry, I need to prep my mind for that shit and be prepared. At least I do. Maybe I'm speaking for myself here. Yeah, anyway. Okay, number 11, your Jabberwock, I think that's how you say it. Your Jabberwock deck. This deck is dark and mysterious. So I would definitely have to say, again, Murder of Crows, for sure. Maybe even my Archetype deck. But definitely my Murder of Crows. Very dark and mysterious. Number 12, show me your Alice deck. Either an actual Alice in Wonderland deck or a deck that always takes you on a journey when you read it. So I don't have an Alice in Wonderland deck, but I would say, again, a couple of answers here. I would have to say, so not my Murder of Crows, but my Crow Tarot. So this deck makes you really think. For me, this is just me. This deck makes you really think, and it makes you really it makes you have to really pay attention to your intuition and to really use your logical mind as well. It sends me swimming through my gnosis. It makes me travel through myself and who I really am. Not to get super deep, but it just makes you really reflect and think. And I would say that sometimes I put off using this deck because of that, because I'm scared of what it's gonna say. But it is really good for that. If you really wanna know the truth about something and you really wanna get to know yourself, I would say get your hands on this. At least that's what it's done for me. And I would also say too, that again, my archetypes deck definitely sends me on a journey, just because, basically for the same reason. It just, first of all, some of the words in there I don't even really understand what they mean, I'll be honest with you. And so it forces you to do your research. It forces you to understand that new word. It forces you to reflect on how that new word relates to you and your path or your life or the world that you know. So it sends you on a journey in that sense. It just forces you to really get to know yourself more. Facts. So yeah, if you want to go swimming through the universe that is your psyche, get the Crow Tarot and the archetypes for sure. Okay guys, so that is all I have for today. That was the Tarot and Wonderland tag. Please, please, please go ahead and do the art to this if you're interested. Let me know down below if you have any of these decks and they resonate with you in the same way they do with me, or if you feel differently about them. I would love to know. And until next time, I hope you stay very well. Love you. Bye.